What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's a big deal around here, around my house in the south especially, but all over the country in the summertime there's always a good topwater bite going on. Topwaters, I mean, I'm gonna say it, that's probably what makes bass fishing so famous and cool, is a topwater strike. And anything about fishing, you know, any way I can catch a fish on a surface bait, you know, you can't beat it. Now there's all different kinds of topwaters, but today we're going to talk about hard topwaters. When I choose which one, because there's all, you know, you can come out here on any given day on all these herring lakes in the south. We're going to kind of key in towards that since that's what we're around. We'll dip into some largemouth lakes because a lot of the same rules apply as far as colors, styles of baits. You could go out one day, catch them on one really good, and go out the next day and not get a bite on that one. They want something different. And it could be, you know, very similar to the same conditions. So we're going to talk about that today. Let's get into the video and see what we're working with. So, starting off, I have a bunch of different baits laid out here, as you can see, different styles of baits. And we're going to go in depth right here and tell you guys really what I like about each one and when I would throw which one. We're going to start off probably my favorite style of bait, and probably the one that I use the most these days with live scope technology. You know, we can see these fish, throw at them. I like something kind of loud and aggressive to get their attention a lot of the times. If I can, it's one that I always start with on any given lake, and it is a pencil popping style bait. So right here I have my three favorite ones. Berkeley cane walker, number one. You can see that one has been chewed up. So I'm a herring guy, so a lot of my box is chrome. So a lot of the colors that I have out are chrome. So I'm a little stick. You can see, I mean, he's been chewed up too. I've caught about the same amount of fish on all these baits, but there is times where I choose each one. And the evergreen shower blow is probably the most popular one for people all around the country. But there's different, these baits are really different. Even though they look the same, they're very similar in size. They all have a cupped face. They're gonna perform a little bit different. I've seen it day in and day out where one will outshine the other in certain circumstances. So for herring lakes, I'm sticking with the cane walker most of the time because I can move this bait so much faster than I can this little stick or the shower blows. The reason is you can see the mouth is a little bit different, and so it's more of a concave deal on this, whereas this is more designed to spit water. This kind of glides a little bit better. It's not as deep of a cup. It just kind of punches the water, so to speak, whereas this one slashes really hard. The little stick and the shower blow, they tend to slash really hard. So one thing I've always noticed, I can work this bait, the cane walker, with my reel, and it will glide across the water extremely fast. You notice how it's always just going back and forth just effortlessly almost. Where this one, you know, you definitely got to add some rod motion. Largemouth lakes are times where I have to draw fish off structure. 100%, no doubt, this is going to be the deal for me. The shower blows or the little stick. The reason is it's got more drawing power, I feel like. This, where speed is key and cadences are key, hard to beat the cane walker. So keep that in mind next time you go out. I like to throw this, you know, if the wind's blowing a little bit, if you got some chop on the water, definitely seems to be more ideal where I'll go to a bait like this. I'm not real big on these whenever it's slick glass calm outside. You can throw them a long ways. I like throwing these on braided line a lot of the times just to get that super responsive action, but sometimes if it's, you know, a really clear lake like Chattooga like this, you know, mono seems to work better. They can see it. They can't see the line as good, and you tend to get more bites. So, on to the next. And you know, colors wise, anytime you're in the south on a herring lake, this is literally the only color you need, chrome. I mean, you can have all kinds of translucent stuff that looks like herring. They're never going to bite anything better than this, in my opinion. Moving on to the next. Similar, but different. Popping style baits. So this has really been the bread and butter right now. This is a standard Rico. People think of this for going down the bank, fishing brim beds, things like that. This is one of my most favorite topwaters for fishing offshore brush piles, humps, calling fish up from deep water. Tie you a little loop knot or put a split ring on there, whichever you prefer. Some mono. Goose, chug it really hard. Same thing, this is storm chug bug. This is old school. Work this a little better. You can cast the Rico a little better than the chug bug. both have their time. The Rico is a lot more consistent action. The Chug Bug is probably one of the most tried and true baits. You can definitely move more water with the Rico. If the water's a little bit, you know, more choppy, I'm going to stick with the Rico. Spro makes a really good popper as well. The Berkeley Bullet Pop is a solid one. I'm going to talk to you guys about all kinds of different brands of baits. You know, my channel is about helping people learn. I throw a lot of my sponsored baits. Everybody throws a lot of baits that are made by other people. We're going to keep it real. We're going to tell you guys what's good and what ain't. And this right here is something where the water's a little bit choppier out there. You can move it. It's got a really deep cup on this bait, and it makes a real deep, just goosh, goosh, just a real deep pop. Calls those fish from a long distance. So you can throw this bait. I definitely have more success when it's really rough out with this one. Calls fish from a long distance. It's a small profile, so I like it kind of earlier in the year when the herring aren't really as big. The fall, fish seem to key in on bigger bait fish. This time of year in the spring and summer, it seems to be, you know, they'll eat those smaller 3-4 inch herring. Sometimes bigger. There's exceptions to everything, but these smaller baits seem to work better earlier in the year. You don't catch them on that big, just gaudy stuff until the end of the year a lot of the times. Chug Bug, if it's a little bit calmer outside, you can get away with this. Even if it's calm, this is just bread and butter day in and day out. This bait was literally brand new like 2 weeks ago, and I mean, split rings cooked. I mean, it gets chewed. One of the very old school bait in the bass fishing history, but man, it gets bit. Definitely one that's always going to be in my arsenal. Once again, chrome, bait fishy colors seem to work the best. Work it the same way. Goosh, goosh, goosh. Move a lot of water. All kinds of different popping style baits out there, but those two are definitely my favorite. If the fish seem to want that bait, you know, if you seem to see the fish real tight to the cover, you need a lot of the times a lot of noise to draw them up, and that popping style bait, you can keep it in one spot and almost goosh, goosh, and like you can see them on the graph, or you'll get their attention and they'll come up. Then you can start working it a little bit faster. But that bait's great for getting their attention. You can even see I got this big old sucker tied on right here. I just started playing with this giant Chug Bug yesterday, and to be honest with you, I've lost a lot of fish on it so far. I put me a real big hook on the front to make it, because I had a tough time with it chugging really good. Back hook, once you know, I'm sure there's a time and place. They definitely bite it, but it needs to be rough, and you need a big old hook on the back, because that bait's hard to keep hooked on. It's a lot of plastic going on there. Moving on to kind of, you know, let's talk about just a staple. If I had to pick one bait to go anywhere, especially largemouth lakes, any Tennessee River lake, anything like that, these fish love nothing more than the good old Heddon saltwater super spook. 3-hook, big one. Put you some big hooks on that thing and throw it on straight braid. Just a good slow knock, whether you're fishing close to the shoreline, fish eating bait, shad spawn, or bombing it out in open water on big points. This is a bite getter. Even if it's big, it looks crazy. It is an old school bait, but you can throw this thing out here with all these modern topwaters. This thing is going to get chewed. And, you know, they make some really good colors in this thing. But anytime I'm around largemouth or smallmouth especially, the spook is probably my #1 bait. The old school super spook is hard to beat. Last but not least, we're going to talk like really finessey skimmer style. I'm gonna say one of the OG ones of this was probably a Lucky Craft Sammy. That was probably the OG of the skimming style baits. I'm a Skimmer is one of the most popular ones today, and a lot of my baits, guys, you're gonna have to excuse this, but I mean the hooks have been trashed. I've been guiding every day, and the hooks on these are gone because they need changed. I got my treble box out right now. So, speaking of, shout out, check this out. This is a Plano 3700. This is the hook box. Look at my trebles in there. Keep them nice and organized, and I can open it up. And I got my spare stock trebles down in there too. So I keep that in the boat at all times. Swap the trebles, makes it real easy. Can keep track. I throw my junkers down in there and just take them out and dispose of those whenever I get back to the house. But that is the best thing I've ever used for keeping hooks. Trebles especially, because it's hard to store, you know. You got your spare storage down there, and then you can take inventory of what you got really easily in there. But that's why I was about to do that. I'm like, you know, it would be a cool video. But I'm a Skimmer. Calm water outside seems to work the best. This thing is real subtle across the water. It doesn't really make a whole lot of noise. But it definitely, you can almost look at this bait and see how it's kind of a boomerang shape to it. it has a really deep belly, so it's more of like a, if that makes sense, it's kind of up and down as it's walking. So it's real subtle that way, but it almost goes under the water and dips, dips, dips. It's not necessarily as much of a skim as you would think. Whereas this bait, this is probably my favorite topwater to throw around shallow cover, just because it's so quiet, and I mean, it gets absolutely eaten alive. My partner Luke and I have won a lot of tournaments around here on this, especially earlier in the year, throwing this around boat docks with the herring spawn and shad spawn, Berkeley Driftwalker. This bait sits unlike any other in the water. It sits perfectly level. None of this bait, and whenever you put just the same size hooks, this bait is going to be perfectly, I mean, just flat, horizontal, not cupped like this or down like this. It's going to be flat. So it truly does skim across the surface, making very little noise and commotion. So anytime it's super calm outside, those fish are, you know, they're really kind of wary of what's going on, and you need that finessey topwater. I've found nothing that gets more bites than this. This is the Driftwalker 110 size, so it's, you know, probably about 4.5, 5 inches long. It's perfect size. All over the place, man. That bone color gets absolutely destroyed, but you know, they make it in chrome colors. They make it in any color you want. But bone and chrome seems to be the deal. Those right there, that's kind of the ins and outs of all these little topwater baits. And you know, there's thousands of them available. My box, this is literally, you know, I've got a walking and popping topwater box, and then I have a box for, you know, my plopping, prop baits, things like that. But for my walking topwaters, I literally went through the other day and was like, all right, I pulled all my topwaters that I had, and I condensed it down to one box, because these are literally all I use. And these are my favorites in that category. And if I had to pick out of the thousands that are out there on Tackle Warehouse, you can find them in any tackle store, it's confusing. And you know, and truth be known, a lot of them don't do too much too different, but keep it simple, keep it down to the basics. Certain ones of these do different things than the others, and taking those tips to wherever you're at, whatever you're fishing, whatever the water conditions, weather, put all that into play, make your selection based on that outside, and you're going to catch a lot more fish. So get out there, get you some of these baits. You can find them at Hammond's Fishing Center and Tackle Warehouse. Hit me up, let's go fishing and catch some on them ourselves. So good luck, thank you guys. Like and subscribe, let us know what you would like to see. We're gonna get back to catching some bass on some topwaters, because there's not much that's more fun.